r/AskReddit. High school teachers of Reddit, what is the one thing that you want your students to know that you'd never tell them in person? When you think you are being genius by getting me to talk about random things at the beginning of class instead of teaching, I'm really allowing it to happen because I don't have enough plan to cover a full class. I knew you were cheating, so I gave you a test with the answers in a different order for the rest of the semester. You clearly weren't very bright to figure it out, and yes, I am that spiteful. It was easier than reporting the cheating. No shit, not high school but in nursing school one of my classmates purchased the test keys. Made it to the third trimester of the program and come to find out, the professor for that part of our program makes his own exams. Dude dropped out after a week. By IEEE. The best way I found to cheat on tests is to keep showing up to class. Maybe the professor didn't know it, but every day he went over problems that were on the tests. It was wild. I mean, some of the numbers were changed of course, but I swear every type of problem he showed us in class was on the test. School was easy once I figured out that most of these teachers subconsciously keep telling us the exact types of things that were on exams. I just learned how to do those and I was set. Also, instead of writing your cheat sheet on your thigh or behind a water bottle label, I found a great loophole. A few days before the test, sit down and commit the material to memory. You'll have a cheat sheet in your brain, and even if your teachers suspect you're cheating, short of using a Vulcan mind melt, they'll never be able to prove anything. One day you're going to come across people who are not being paid to tolerate you, and all of a sudden life is going to become considerably more difficult. I feel like they should be told this in person. Yeah, I would pay to have this engraved on the threshold of my old high school, to be honest. I said something like this to a kid with a bad attitude when I was a volunteer tutor, something to the effect of I don't have to be here and if you don't want my help it doesn't matter to me. He was shattered, was crying when his mom picked him up. When I saw him again it was a completely different kid, super respectful. I encourage my worst kids as much or more than my favorites because I don't want them back in my class next year. I wonder if that's one of the reasons some of those ever pass the grade. Welp. They're not my problem now. If you're jacking off in class we can tell. This is a common occurrence? Well, it's either that or they're getting really into their phone. That's a common occurrence even without porn. There were 2 circles on the board. What did you expect me to do, Dart? When the Venn diagram low-key thick. That we have much better hearing than you assume. We just choose our battles as it pertains to inappropriate comments. And sometimes I pretend not to see that thing you did just because I too found it humorous, and speaking to you about it would only result in me cracking up. It's so funny when they think they are getting away with something, but no, it's just near the end of the day and you're too tired to deal with it. I freaked a student out a few months ago. As he passed me out the door I leaned down and whispered, "Don't make paper airplanes in my class anymore." He had no clue I'd seen, went white as a sheet and left. He hasn't done it since, yet. Or he got better at hiding them. I can smell you. Everyone can. Please, for the love of God, use deodorant. Edit. Thanks for the gold silver. To the people asking why I wouldn't say this to a student, the answer is twofold. 1. Puberty is a smelly ordeal, and a lot of the kids can't help it. 2. Because God forbid it's not their fault, infection, a cultural thing, or improper washing of clothes, you don't want to alienate that student forever. I run a retail store and it's a pretty small shop and is on the pathway home for a lot of kids. Those stinky bastards come in and stink up the whole shop so bad. I must remain professional, but I so badly want to tell them to leave and God wash their ass or put on some deodorant. Flash sale on deodorant? That it's just as weird for me as it is for you when we bump into each other in public. Edit. Instead of responding to all, I'll tell my story here. I went on vacation with my then GF, and bumped into a student 3 states over. We both kind of shook our heads no at each other, and kept walking, silently agreeing to not address it. I saw this same student again 2 months later, during the summer, at a concert where they were underage drinking. We just shook our heads at one another again, keeping that same silent agreement. I saw this same student 4 more times during the summer entirely by accident. It was never discussed. I saw my English teacher at the grocery store one. We made eye contact and I nodded. He nodded back. We kept walking. Said nothing about it the next day. Never brought it up. That's proper procedure. One of my high school Spanish teachers came to view my parents' guest house that was for rent. I made damn sure I went out and said hola to her. I couldn't have my Spanish teacher living 20 feet from my house, even if she was one of the hot teachers. My dad is a Spanish teacher and he met one of his students. In the gym. Locker room. Edit, if y'all want to have a few more details, the student was shirtless, and my dad is slightly overweight, 60s, and balding. You know what, Jono? You're a little cunt. Can confirm, I'm a bit of a cunt. Yay, me too. I just can't help it, it's too much fun. I don't care that you came to class stoned. Just stop interrupting class, and for God's sake, don't touch any power tools while you're stoned. I knew a guy that would come into first period stoned. He would always complete his work extremely fast, and accurately too. Then he would just stare at his paper or whatever when he's done. Basically a genius when stoned. Edit, I was not anybody's teacher. The weed smell doesn't magically disappear between the parking lot and my classroom. How do I smell, bro? You're good, me. You're good too. Do my eyes look red? Yes, I do have favorite students. No, I won't tell you who they are because that would discourage you, but yes, they are probably who you imagine them to be. If I didn't think you would abuse the situation, I would really enjoy being more human and casual around you. I think you are a fun person to be around. This one hits home. I was close with a couple teachers through high school, and would even put in extra effort in those classes. But when the teacher would get to a comfortable level around us, it was easy to forget that they got there because of the effort I put in, and it isn't an excuse to stop trying cause they like you. My gamertag. I usually say there's a policy against it, but there isn't. I just don't wanna play Overwatch or whatever with a bunch of relatively good kids who turn into total monsters when they play video games. If I tell the cool ones, it'll get around. Don't do it. It's like when a kid finds out a teacher's cell phone number somehow. Then the whole school calls. I'd imagine the hot teachers are very aware of the students' perception of them. One year teaching 10th grade there was a girl very obviously crushing on me. I just made sure never to be alone with her. Edit, I am not saying I was hot. I'm an average looking schmuck. I teach 8th grade and I've had an uncomfortable number of boys give me their number, or tell me to my face, or I hear through the grapevine. A boy in my year 11 was when it happened, many years ago, simply approached his chemistry teacher at the end of the year and said to her, "Miss, you're fit," and walked off. I imagine it was the same uncomfortable feeling. I can definitely hear the horrible things you are saying. Yes, I see that you are on the other side of the room. I may be old to you, but I am certainly not deaf. Also, that teenage boy is definitely going to buy you a Big Mac in exchange for oral sex 100 out 100 times. I need the story on that second one. This girl was telling a boy about how hungry she was and didn't have any money. They didn't think I could hear them, of course. She says, "I'll suck your duck if you buy me a Big Mac." We're not exactly in the best area here. I pretended like I didn't hear it, of course. I remember seeing a meme where some girl made fun of short guys and short dude responded with, "You gave me head for a Whopper," or something. I guess burgers for BJS are a thing. I'm a bus driver. Sit the f down, you will die if I crash. Understood. Stands up. Please stop dueling in the classrooms, that's what the bathrooms are for. Why are there toilets in the duel room? Recently my school put detectors in the restrooms, but some kid in one of my classes still needed his nicotine fix, so he ripped a fat one with his face in his backpack and said the smoke was his laptop malfunctioning. I hate the texts as much as you do, but everyone just shrugs when I suggest changing them up. I'm sorry they made us keep that awful afterbook on the list. I genuinely offered to buy them all back from students so I could burn the waste of time that they are. A lot of us probably drink, smoke, sleep around, etc. more than you do, and hearing you talking about it and trying to hide it as if it's something we wouldn't know about is richly ironic. Or worse, boast about it like it's something we would never understand. I can see who you have a crush on in the classroom. My philosophy teacher straight up told me, stop flirting with dash dash, you're here to work. Wasn't taking any bullshit that day. If your parents email a teacher and argue with them, the whole staff knows, at least at my school. Yes, and when there is a parent who is particularly awful to a teacher, that teacher will warn all of the kids' future teachers before they even sit in their assigned seat on the first day of school.